Wee! Wee! Oh god, no. Oh lord. What have I done? I'm sorry. Everybody go get a bucket. Deposit your vomit into the bucket. And come back. I'll wait here. Welcome back, everybody! And welcome to the Olympus server. If you joined me on one of my streams recently, we worked on this guy. What is this guy? It's this guy farm. That's right. It is a squiddy farm. Yeah, we were working on the stream. I needed some ink for a upcoming project, and me and D-Gamer have been talking about squid farms on and off for a little while. And D-Gamer came and helped me build this as well during the stream, as well as Simonin. So big thanks to those two guys for helping. And of course, everybody who joined me in the stream for keeping me company. And yeah, during the stream, we built this ribbon, this curtain of water. If we go up, you can kind of see how it's laid out. I didn't get to finish it on the stream, but I came back and I put some ice down here at the bottom, and I kind of made this a bowl type shape, so the water just kind of pours down and collects down at the middle. Get some weird stuff happening with squid when they get in that block right where the water drops down. They do that weird thing. But anyway, the diameter of this guy, or more specifically the radius, is about 29 blocks to the first water source block. And what that allows is for you to get to the edge of the platform and still be far enough away from the water that squid should continue spawning. I don't think I made it too close. Maybe I did. Maybe the platform's too large. But yeah, this is just basically a bunch of staggered water source blocks. So there's never a source block right next to each other. They're always diagonal to each other. And what that allows is at the bottom, it allows us to do that glitchy, tricky water floating thing. So if we go down there, you can see the water just kind of stops here. So that was achieved by where this last block of water is. That used to be ice. And then you basically allow the water to fall down onto the ice while keeping the water in check until you've thawed the water. Once you've thawed this, or thawed the ice, once you've thawed that piece of ice, as long as there's no updates to it, it will stay like this. However, if you update one of these water source blocks, it will have a cascading effect and they'll all come down. And I actually did this during the stream when me and D-Gamer were setting it up. I let down some water onto an already updated floating block of ice. So the block of ice was just a floating block of water, and as soon as the water hit it coming down, it updated it, and then that updated and it went about halfway through, and then it stopped when it got to the next ice that hadn't been thawed yet. But yeah, so the idea behind this farm is I had hoped it would be like a target practice type farm, like you'd stand on a platform somewhere, probably higher up than this, and then as the squid spawn in the ribbon, you could shoot them out. Now, the problem with that is they fall out of that ribbon pretty quick on their own. Where are all the squid? Usually there's a lot of squid. Interesting. Let's go up and take a look from the very top anyway. Maybe we can get them to spawn again. Usually, yeah, there's always squid in here. I've done some work also on the outside of the farm. So during the stream, after we built it, we looked around and there was quite a bit of water kicking around. Also, if you're not sure where this is built, this is the sand quarry that's by our original spawn. So original spawn's over there. And then we got D-Gamer's desert base over here. And beyond that is his jungle base. And they're actually kind of connected. They're kind of one giant base. And then the new spawn is actually way over there. So this is near the old spawn. I figured this would be a good place because it was a desert, and also it had a bunch of it dug out already. So squid spawn between levels 46 and 62, I do believe, so we had to dig this all out. So we used a haste 2 beacon, efficiency 5 picks, and a bit of TNT for fun, and we dug that all out. And then we did the water and all that stuff. But yeah, there used to be little pockets of water all over the place. Quite a few of them, quite a lot of them. There's also this river right where my cursor is, and it was, wow, what did that, I don't know if that was a river or an ocean, because man, it was deep. And yeah, that took a long time to fill in, and then I kind of dug it out again a little bit to try to give it, try not to destroy the terrain too much. I mean, because you got D-Gamer's base here, and then we've got this kind of nasty sand quarry. So I figured I'd kind of try to treat the terrain a bit as I filled it in to make it look a little natural. And I think it worked out. Looks a little bit like a dried out desert, or a dried out riverbed, I should say. And originally I had planned on, when we had done like harvesting all the sand out of here, I was going to flood this area. I was going to try to like chisel it all out, taper down all the edges, kind of like I was doing here, and then make this into a giant man-made lake. Hey, Jordan. But now I don't think I want to do that because we got the squid farm, and if we put water here, it's going to severely limit it. Oh, look, someone's been harvesting there. Awesome. Anyway, this used to be water too. This is a swamp. If you go past the render distance, there's more water. But this was all water, and it was incredibly deep as well. There are some nice shallow bits, which are easy to fill in, but then there's the other parts that not so much. Now, I don't know if maybe just D-Gamer has all the squid. He could, because he's building near the water. Now, that could be a flaw of this farm, because I do believe you share the mobs, or you might get your own mob cap, but it could go to the place that has the most spawnable space. So an ocean has a lot more spawnable space than this, so they'll probably get most of the squid. But anyway, yeah, the squid typically, when they do spawn in the curtain, which we might not get to see, they pretty much fall out instantly, so there's no point trying to shoot them out, because you don't really have time. I mean, you can still try. There's also another flaw, which we'll see. I was planning on putting a looting 3 enchantment on my bow, so I wouldn't have to do this old trick with the fire and arrow and then switch to your sword so you get the looting effect. I was hoping I wouldn't have to do that, but apparently you can't put looting 3 on a bow, which is sad. So we won't be able to do that. But when there's nobody else on the server, this actually runs really well, and there's pretty much at least like 5 squid or whatever all the time. And there's a few ways you can use it. You can stand here and you can just shoot them like I just did. Shoot them in the water. And because this is ice, they'll come here pretty quick. Or if you wait long enough, they'll landlock themselves on these hoppers, and they will die. Now, I guess I don't get back in that way, I guess, maybe? There we go. Now, I've left this little opening here, and I figured this would be used for XP collection for now. We'll probably change up the farm a bit, but I wanted to get it to a functional state, and this is functional. I've gotten quite a bit out of it already. I've gotten about 18 stacks of ink. I've brought about 9 stacks over to D-Gamer, so it's definitely working. I'm just kind of sorry I can't show it to you. I didn't think about that. If there's other people on the server, it might totally just kill the farm. And my legs. But yeah, that's probably all I'm going to do here for now. So this is working, and we have a source of ink when we need it. Just might have to wait till there's nobody on the server to use it. So we're going to leave. One thing that's kind of cool about D-Gamer's portal setup here is there's water behind the portal. So if you just ride your horse or donkey in, you get dismounted because of the water. And then the donkey gets teleported, like, instantly. So that's kind of cool. Just kind of, that happened by accident the first time. But yeah, if you wanted like an automatic dismount, if you're moving a lot of horses or something, you could do that, put water behind. Obviously you can't do it on the nether counterparts, but meh. Still cool. Alright, so let's park our mule down here in the tunnel that goes to the new spawns, so if you haven't seen this. It's not done. It's mainly been me and D-Gamer and some other guys working on it, typically during the weekends, for like during our like community time that we typically try to do stuff. But yeah, it's coming along. So this is the horse track. There's ice under this, so you can do the sprinty jumpies, and then the tracks are above. So it's a pretty neat little compact design I think we came up with. And so yeah, if you're on the rail, you'll go along the top. If you want to run, you go along here, and if you're on a horse, you just run down the middle. And this is our horse docking station, which we've got to try to work out, because you can't just lead them, unfortunately, because the leads despawn or they come off of them. So right now I've got these set up. Now you can fit them in a almost like a 1 wide spot, like fences, right? Because they're not really 2 blocks wide, but they're over 1 block wide. So we could do that, and that's like a nice stall. The only thing that sucks is I can't put another fence post here. If I do, I can no longer walk through that little gap. So that kind of blows. Is there any fences here? Yeah. Yeah, so if I do this now, which actually doesn't look too bad, it's just 1 little gate. But because this is now a 1 wide gate, instead of, because this part is actually solid now, it connects all the way up to the edge of the gate. So having this guy here doesn't quite work. I wonder if we just... Nope, that won't work in the corner. Well, maybe I don't need it on the corner. Let's try something. What if I get... I didn't even plan on do this. This is a bad idea. Okay, I need some more fences. Or fence gates, I should say. Okay, let's make a few more. That should... Sure. Okay. So what if we put the gates in between as well? What does this do? How bad does that look? Now, can he still fit through if we open both? He can't. No. Okay. So that's still not wide enough for him to get through. Alright, screw it. We'll have to play around with this idea. This idea. If you guys have any idea for a nice little compact little stall we could use, ideally we want to fit as many stalls as possible so people can store as many horses and stuff as they like, but obviously it's not really a huge issue. I mean, I'm the only one who has an animal here, but I'm sure once it's up and running and getting more use, we probably want to have a few stalls, or ideally a stall for everybody, but that might not be possible. Alright, one thing I want to work on today, and I've actually already done it, but we can go over it and do the final touches. Oops. I don't want you. Go away, please. Is this thing. I've had this like auto brewer thing that dispenses splash potions so I can quickly run. Now obviously this doesn't get used too much because running and sprinting is kind of borked or has been nerfed. Whether intentionally or not is up for debate. But yeah, I want to get it working anyway. And part of the problem I have with it is sometimes the potions just get all mucked up. So when you're trying to brew them, if the chunk gets unloaded at the wrong time, the brewing stops happening, but the hopper timer keeps going. So when the hopper says it's time to change the potion out, the potion hasn't actually finished yet because it's been unloaded. Now I haven't done too much. Well, I've been doing a bunch of experimenting. I don't know all the ins and outs of it yet, but I'm not sure if brewing happenings in spawn chunks yet. I was going to test that theory, but what I've done here is I basically redid all the wiring for the brewing, and I've added in one little thing that I think is kind of neat. And it's basically a loaded chunk detector, where I could detect how loaded the chunk is, I guess. I don't know if spawn chunks can process potions, like if the brewing will continually happen in a spawn chunk, which I could have checked, and it's easy enough to check, but I haven't checked. Then it might just make this a spawn chunk temporary, or it would still work if this was loaded as a spawn chunk. And you could make, I guess, you can load a chunk as a spawn chunk, I guess, if you load a 5x5 area, I think, around that chunk. So if you have a chunk, I'm not very good at this stuff. But I was watching like Simply Sark. He has probably some great videos worth checking out. So this is the chunk you want to load, and if you also load in a 5x5 area around it, so if we get rid of all these, say, like unloaded chunks, and we load them, so now we have a 5x5 area loaded. Now this is probably wrong, so I probably shouldn't even do this because my information is probably not accurate. So let's change that out. So this is now the chunk we want loaded, and if we loaded all these chunks around it as well, I believe this can now process items. So like an item on the ground will be spawn after 5 minutes if you have a 5x5 grid open. Now that could be wrong. It could be 7x7, could be 9x9, I'm not too sure. Maybe if you guys are more familiar with it in the comments, you could let me know. But what I've done here, so the problem with this is, yeah, the potion's not actually brewing, so it kind of freezes, but everything else keeps going. So what ends up happening is I get a pile up of ingredients, and the potions just stop working. Like, we'll just get a whole whack of nether wart stacked up, or redstone, or whatever stage it was currently at when it broke. It'll just keep piling up, and then the potions, it'll start making whatever potion that ingredient can make, like mundane potions or what have you. So what I've added is this little thing. There's a few ways you could do it. So this is what I'm calling my little loaded chunk detector. Every time the hopper clock goes off, it triggers this dropper. This dropper is going to spit out an item, and the item's going to hit this pressure plate. You don't actually have to use a pressure plate. You could have the item go directly into the hopper and then just use a comparator to take a signal off the hopper. Basically, you want to detect an item through the air into something. Because if this chunk is only loaded by redstone, so it's only like partially loaded, it's not going to process items. So when this item gets dispensed, it's not actually going to fall through this pressure plate if nobody's here, if the chunk isn't fully loaded or loaded to the state of item processing. So what it's going to do is it's just going to sit there in limbo until this chunk gets loaded again. So until someone comes into the nether, and then the item will fall and hit this pressure plate. And when it hits that pressure plate, it does a couple things. It triggers this redstone line here, and it goes to this torch. Now this redstone right here is basically an AND gate. It's being powered by this torch, and it's also being powered by this torch. So I've set up kind of, yeah, an AND gate, I guess, scenario. So it uses this loaded chunk detector thing. So if this goes off, but also at the same time when the end of the cycle happens on the hopper clock, this redstone torch triggers that guy, but there's also another one that goes this way. And he goes through, and he has enough delay so that he's in time with this guy. So basically, when this torch goes off, when these two torches go off, the item drops, and then it activates the pressure plate, and then that redstone signal goes and turns off that torch. At the same time, this redstone turns on, and I've got a rising edge detector. So what this does is when this redstone dust turns on, this guy will turn off for a brief second. But then he'll go back on again. And then as long as, so yeah, so this torch is keeping it on, and also this keeps it on. So basically what happens is this torch turns off, and this guy's off, just at the right time to allow this guy to turn off for just a brief second. So the only time that's going to happen is if this stuff happens at the same time. If we leave the area, this half of the thing might still happen, because the hopper might keep it open, or redstone might keep it open. It might be partially loaded. So what will happen is this will fire, the item will get dispensed, but it won't actually enter the airspace. This guy will go, and he'll do his half of the AND gate, but because the other half doesn't get triggered, nothing here happens. So this doesn't turn off. And then when you come back to the chunk, this redstone dust will still be on. It will turn off, but because this is a rising edge detector, it's not going to cause this to pulse. And then this guy will fire on, but yeah, because this wasn't at the same time, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't allow the next cycle of brewing to happen. Okay, so this redstone dust, what it does is it comes up here and it goes into this little pulse lengthener thing using comparators. This just provides about the same pulse length as a wooden button, and it's just long enough to allow 3 water bottles to go through the system. So yeah, when this fires off, this will fire, which will turn off this torch and that, which is what's going to fire these items, which will dispense the 4 ingredients that we're using. It's also going to turn on this redstone dust, which basically just locks this hopper, which is going to have the water bottles in it, and it unlocks this one, which will allow to pull out the next set of potions. So yeah, it'll swap the potions out, and then it will dispense more ingredients, and the cycle continues. The other thing that happens, which I've currently got disabled, this is one of those, this just uses a, is this working? No, I guess because that's on. One of these pistons is a regular piston, so this cycle just stops. It doesn't continually go. It has to get reset every time, and the thing that resets it is this item that drops. So what this means is when the chunk is being held open by this redstone, as soon as this hopper clock is finished its cycle, it's going to turn off and it's going to stay off. And it's not going to turn back on until it gets that reading from that pressure plate. So it'll complete its cycle, that piece of netherrack falls through, and that repeater that is right here from the pressure plate also turns off this torch, and that just sends an update to this guy and causes him to, so you can see that turns on just to get that guy to fire again, and it does the cycle again. So what we want to do is, first off, let's put the right amount of items in. So we'll turn this thing off. It takes 72 items for roughly 4 ingredients, I've determined. Now we could probably put more than that. Do I even have enough ingredients? Let's find out. Running for 4th. Welcome. Okay, so now it's turned itself off, and because I broke the reset line, it's not going to go again. Damn it! Apparently it did. Why did it go again? Anyway, I'll figure that out. So it got updated, I guess. So yeah, it's going to now go. And the other thing you can do, which is kind of nice, I mean, this little chunk loading detecting thing, I could set up differently. I could have it put the items right back into itself, and then you only need like one item in here. But I think having maybe a stack or having a quantity of some kind is good. Like I can just say, I want this thing to run 64 times. After that, I want it to stop. And thanks for my present, guys. Just need to record it now. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So this thing should be ready to go. Let me just reset it all. And the other problem is all the water bottles fell out of it. Or it was processing water bottles. Another thing I don't have on this one is like a shut off or anything like that. So it doesn't know that it's out of water bottles, so it's just going to continually go until that dropper runs out of items. But I think that's okay. Like, I can see how many water bottles are in here. I can divide that by 3. And then I can put that many items in the dropper if I wanted to, and then it will work. But now it should go. I just got to make sure it's not borked right off the get-go. Alright. I've never actually tested this, so it may not work. I was doing a lot of testing creative with command blocks because it's nice. You can leave the chunk, and then you can have command blocks tell you what happens when you're gone. So, but yeah, this should be good to go, assuming I didn't screw anything up. Like the timing on... Oops. No. Okay. That went, but nothing happened. So there might be a timing issue. So this guy has to go, and he has to be at the exact same time as this guy, or it doesn't work. And that should be at 7. Okay, let's wait for another cycle. Okay, I'm just gonna speed this up. Make it happen faster, since we're not really too concerned. What we want to see is this guy turn on. Now, I saw that turn off, but it didn't happen long enough, it seemed. Like, that turned off, but the torch didn't turn on. Let's see here. Let's make that go again. Hey, Pigman. Now, I did rework this since I actually had it working. Okay, that time it worked. It doesn't seem to work every time, and it could just be the trajectory of the item. The item might take a bit longer to hit the pressure plate each time. So I might have to allow for that. So I might have to take the 2 extremes, the quickest it can hit the pressure plate and the longest, if I can actually determine that, and then make sure this guy's going for at least that time as well. So I might have to add in like a pulse lengthener here or something. But yeah, anyway, this should resolve the problems. Should. So now it is working. Now, the only thing that might happen is it might not fire every time, but that's not bad. It's not going to wreck the thing. It just might not fill up as quickly as it should if it's not firing every time. So it might only fire... It might only do a new brew every like 3 cycles or something. Who knows? But yeah, that should fix that. So I thought this little thing was kind of clever. And it took a few renditions to kind of get it working. Like the whole dropping the item thing I did. And I was like, yeah, this will work. This is great. But then as soon as you come into a chunk, the item gets loaded and then it triggers the thing anyway. So the other thing I didn't want happening was if this gets unloaded halfway through. So like if we left... Oh, what happened there? There's extra glowstone. There's extra everything. Let's try... Okay, this thing might be broken. I might still need to fix it. Oh, now we got thick potion. Ah, this is... I hate potions. But I might have to iron out the few kinks, but in theory it should work now. And that thing, having the AND gate was very important. So having a pulse that would go off and also lining up with another pulse that would happen no matter what. So I have one pulse that happens no matter what, another pulse that happens only if the chunk is loaded to a certain degree. So I think that was important, and that was kind of the last thing I had to figure out to get that thing to work properly. And it does seem to be working. There's just some timing issues with that. So I might switch it over to a hopper instead of a pressure plate too. That might pick up the item more consistently. I'm not too sure. But anyway, we're going to head off to the new spawn chunks. Not new spawn chunks. New spawn, where the Christmas tree is. And we're going to go check the presents. And then we might take a look at the tower real quick, because I've been doing some work there, and show why we need all that black ink. Here's the tunnel with a roof. Or a ceiling. Ceiling is the most complex. It takes the longest to do, unfortunately. Excuse me, pardon me. What's happened here? Simnan's Golden Tater Charity? No. I don't want your charity. We also named Morilibus in a stream a while ago, actually. I don't know if I've ever shown it on video, though, but yeah, we got Morilibus 2010. So that was the most popular name, was Morilibus. And then we added 2010 as a tribute to DGibberish, because that's what his last 4 digits are in his username, 2010. So yeah, we are gonna head to the Christmas tree. Just fun to work on. Huge tree. In DGamer style. Just massive. But yeah, it was fun. It's a nice tree, so maybe we'll keep it around. I don't know. Just towering over Tater's community, or his district. So we'll have to see if he doesn't mind having a giant tree. And I threw up a beacon there at the end. I don't know if I put that in the screenshot, though. Just a little, tiny little one. 3x3. Alright, let's see what we got. Christmas time is here. What? He changed his name. Oh no, I think Jordan actually blew up the chests. Ooh. 2 Mobo by Jordan. Nice. So that's interesting. I gave him... He gave me more than I gave him, I think. Because I gave him a block of diamonds. And if this equals... Oh, no. I gave him a lot more than he gave me. That was pretty awful. That was 4 diamond ore, and I only got 1 extra one. So his was more like a lottery. You might get 9, you might not. 2 Mobo from Jordan. To the hairy old moaner, have a good one. Hope your pain has gone-ish. Merry Christmas, Jordan Reza. Thank you, Jordan. And this was from Iroh, so yeah. As I was saying, you can't put a looting 3 enchantment on a bow. He was going to make me my squid skewer, and he did anyway, so it's still okay. So power 1 infinity, that will one-shot a squid. 2 Morilibus by Iroh. So I don't know if he wrote anything in his. No. He did like me. I just kind of did it as a tag. Jordan was much better. Let's go check out everybody else's. So yeah, he's got... Oh, I got more diamonds. Don't tell anyone. Let's look at everybody's gifts. DGamer. Oh yeah, he got... Oh, he already took his diamond. And he already took his other stuff. DGamer by Simnan. Where's my gift, Simnan? Jerk? Jerk face? Where's my gift? Kidding. 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 Ooh. Whoa, what's that? I'm so sorry. Oh, okay. That's the stuff that blew up. They wasn't sure where it went. What's this? A new portal? Oh, DGamer set up his portal. Awesome. And it's there. Okay, I will push my tunnel back. Although this is all temporary up top, we are probably going to build the hub down at a bit lower, or at least at the tunnel level. But we decided to throw it up here in the ceiling just for safety-wise, as otherwise we'd get killed by ghasts if we just tried to work with what was down below without actually having the hub built. So now we can build a hub and then basically move into it when we're ready. Until then, temporary tunnels. Whee! But yeah, I want to finish my tunnel as well. I'll probably just do it the same style as I've already got it in the rest of my tunnel. The only thing I'm not too sure about is if I should make like a dedicated donkey and horse thing. Like, my tunnel does work with it. Man, look at this loading. Or lack of loading. Come on. My tunnel does work. You can technically ride a horse down, but I wouldn't consider it designed for horse use. right? Like you can walk right down the middle. I mean, you can also ride a horse right here if you want, but you do get stuck occasionally. So it is possible to ride a horse, donkey, but not necessarily useful or needed. Alright, let's take a quick look at the tower, and we're going to call it an episode here. I didn't do anything with this guy. He's actually built in one chunk, and he doesn't seem to have as many problems. Probably because he is built in one chunk, that he doesn't cause any chunk loading issues, maybe? I'm not too sure. But, which way should we go? Let's go to the floating islands, see if we can get a look from there. I really like having these portals. It's something I kind of wish I'd done a long time ago. But as I said, I kind of couldn't. Is this right? Come on, tower! Load! There it is. Alright, I asked what you guys thought this thing looked like. And to me... Come on, load, man. Let's go closer. To me, it looks like some kind of robotic fish. Because you see those all the time in the wild, so it's not like something out of the ordinary. It's something you should recognize. No. I don't know why, but it looks kind of like some fish type thing. Like this is its mouth. Here are his kind of eyes. He's got some kind of gills here, and then whatever kind of fin, I guess, going up his face. I don't know. But yeah, kind of looks kind of like that to me. Some kind of killer fossilized goldfish. Yeah, it's totally normal. So what do we need all that black ink for, guys? What do we need it for? This. I started work on this. I might fix some of the glowstone because I'm not too sure I like it. But I think we like the sample size I did, right? Underwater with the veins of glowstones. So we're going to take it to the extreme and do the whole thing. So this is where I got the ice, actually, for the squid farm. I ripped out all the ice under here. And what I've decided I'm going to do is make this more of a bowl instead of a flat cylinder. Instead of having the ground flat like this, I'm making it curve upwards a bit. And I'm not doing anything, I'm not counting these out as circles, which is fairly obvious if you see this curve over here. I'm just kind of randomly doing it, so it's just going to be however it ends up being. So it won't be perfect circles or anything like that. But yeah, we're going to need a lot of black clay for this, and a lot of glowstone, which hopefully the witch hut will provide. But we will see. So yeah, if we go all the way to the center, it drops down to wherever the center is. This is the center of the tower. So this is where the glowstone's kind of starting, and then it's going to kind of work its way out and just spiral and branch its way through. And then we'll slowly work our way up. Now, when I flood this area again, I plan on making it deeper. So instead of just having it one deep, it'll probably be quite deep. So the highest level, which will probably be maybe one more higher, I'm not too sure. We also might have to adjust the chains, either the locations or where they're fastened to, we'll see. But yeah, wherever the top layer, I probably want that to be at least one deep, maybe two deep. So then by the time you get down to the middle, it'll be 4, 5, 6, 7 deep. That way we'll have a bit more water stuff we can do in here as well if we want to. And we talked about in the stream doing some ships. And I've always kind of wanted to do a ship at some point, so that's something I think we should work on. And if you have any ideas on how to do it. So one idea is to kind of have it maybe up above, and let's say it's just kind of wedged itself between these two rocks, and it could just be kind of partially kind of teetering over the edge or something like that. So we could have it kind of wedged up there and stuck, and that could be like basically a ship that's undamaged, or we could have a ship that has fallen down here that is damaged, either broken in half or who knows what. But basically we could have a shipwreck down here, or if it's in the deep enough water, we could have it partially underwater too, which would be kind of good. Another bonus of having this a bit deeper. Or we could just have it, hey squiddies, or we could have it just anywhere. Have it fully formed under here as well, like a ship that's not broken at all. I don't know. Whatever you guys think. That is one thing I really like about this area that we're working on, because we've created such kind of an environment for diversity that we can add in all these little things. So even though we got our main big project, the tower, we can add in other little things, right? We want to add in a village around the cliff sides. We can do all these little tiny things. And most of these ideas come from you guys too, so like the chains and stuff like that. It's all coming from you, so I enjoy hearing your ideas because we can kind of implement them into the area and, yeah, diversify and make this place looks cool. One thing you noticed is this thing can be... It's pretty much a squid farm. I might eventually set up some hoppers or something. I'm not too sure. I mean, obviously he fell and he hit the ground, so he died. So they might not die as much once this is all filled in with water. We'll see. I could also have this being like a giant replica of the squid farm. We could have this just cascading water down, and the squid would eventually make it to the center and get collected. But I don't think that'll look too cool. Also, I forgot to show Unbreaking 3. That was a gift from D-Gamer. He knows I'm always looking for Unbreaking 3 books, so he gave me one. He dropped one off actually on Christmas Day while I was working on that brewer for a little bit. So yeah, thank you D-Gamer for the gift, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.